Giggity-o, YouTube, it's the Bookatarian here for the beginning of another reading vlog, the first vlog of June 2020, which is pretty exciting. It is beautiful outside right now, which is why I'm vlogging outside, because it's so nice out, and I need to get space from the people that I live with. So the first book that I'm currently reading right now is Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. I'm listening to it on Audible, and I'm about 70% done with it, or somewhere between 60 to 70% finished. So I should be done with that rather quickly, probably by the end of today or maybe even before then. We'll see. And then I started The Shadow Throne by Jennifer A. Nielsen, which is the third and final book in the Ascendance trilogy. There is a lot of background noise right now. That's unfortunate, but oh well. So I started The Shadow and the Throne, or The Shadow Throne. Wow, I can't speak words. So I started The Shadow Throne almost immediately after I finished The Runaway King, and then I stopped and I haven't resumed it just because I wasn't quite in the mood for the conclusion of the series. I was just very tempted to slam on the brakes and put it on hold at least for a few days, maybe read a few other things first and then jump into the conclusion, just so I don't get a major slump or something because I marathoned an entire trilogy when I don't think I've ever done that before. So we're taking a little bit of a break, but not too much of a break, because I am checking it out from the library, so I do have to return it and in a reasonable amount of time. As for the physical books I hope to read this week, I have the first volume of the Ouran High School Host Club manga by Bisco Hattori, I think. Yeah, Bisco Hattori. I've watched the anime and I really enjoyed it, and I got the first 2 volumes as birthday gifts from one of my friends, so I thought I'd start the manga. I don't know if this is one that I'll continue reading with, because I'd have to obtain all of the volumes to read it, or read it illegally on some app, which I don't enjoy doing that much. So we'll see if I plan to continue it, because I know mostly what's going to happen, but I do know through Fairy Tail that the manga and the anime can be very different. So we'll see how that goes. And the next book I hopefully get to reading this week is, wait, what is it? Of Fire and Stars by Audrey Coulthurst, which is a book that I've had on my shelf and TBR for a few years now. And I've really been wanting to get to it, but I had never been in the mood to read it. And since it's Pride Month, I figured now would be the perfect time to read it, because I believe it's a female-female romance. And it's a smaller fantasy book, so it just seems like just my type of book to be reading at this moment in time. So that is all I have planned to hopefully achieve, and what I'm currently reading. I'll check back in if anything major occurs. But yeah, so far that's just what I'm planning to read and currently reading. So I'll check back in with y'all later. Bye. Say hi, Layla. Hi. Yes, we love lounging in the sun. Oh, honey, you hot. Yeah, the only way you can see her is if she's in the sunlight, because her fur's just so dark that you can't see her otherwise. Oh yes, you're definitely not camera shy, are you? Nope. Yeah. She loves getting her belly scratched. You're getting some real white on your face, honey. She's gonna be 8 this year. She's getting up there in age. There you go. Yeah. Get out of my sunlight. I'm sunbathing. Gotta work on my tan. And then there's the other one. Hi. Hi. This one's not feeling too good. We don't know what he ate, but he's limping around like he's got some kind of stomach cramp.
Go away, Arnie, I'm just sunbathing. I got these weird freckles on my ears, you see. Trying to work on my tan so they don't look so strange no more.
He's got the biggest belt collar in the freaking world. Oh, you're so cute. Hi, Hank. Hello, just a quick update. Here it is, Wednesday morning. I just got done with work, and I also just finished Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. Oh boy. Oh my god, I loved this book. It was so good. I don't know why. I was expecting it to be having the common second book slump, or sequel kind of letdown, that it's not nearly as good as the first one. But no, I loved this. And even though it was, it had fewer, like, straight action scenes with all the ships practicing and fighting, the Krell and all that, there was less of that, but it did not feel like the pace slowed at all. Felt like it was still just as captivating with all of the political intrigue and all of the information that we're learning about the universe basically just expanded before our very eyes, and it was insane. It was just, there's so much details and stuff to learn and take in and to consider, and gosh darn it, Brandon Sanderson, you make it really hard to see any one group of being as an enemy now, with all that you've done and having us get to know all the different kinds of aliens that are behind the superiority. Of course, I do still really hate the leader of the Krell, who are responsible for attacking Detritus. I do hate him, and I have very good reason for hating him. And if you've read the book, then you know exactly who I'm talking about. So Brandon Sanderson did a really good job of still writing a villain that you just love to hate. And actually, I thought it was really funny that this character whom I'm talking about reminds me a lot of Jar Jar Binks from the Star Wars prequel movies. He hit the same annoying level, like gag reflex, that I have whenever I watch whatever movie it is that Jar Jar Binks is in of that series. I'm just like, oh wow, you're just as annoying as that Jar Jar Binks character. Like, great, that's wonderful. So yeah, needless to say, he did a really good job in that, and all of the new characters that we got to meet were all so unique, not just because they were non-human, no. All of their personalities were so different, and just Brandon Sanderson did that so well. Like, he's been an author for a very long time, and he's written a lot of series and books, and it's just, I feel like he's grown so much from the books that I've read by him, which is his Mistborn trilogy, which was technically his first worked on series, but they didn't come out until after Elantris, I think. There was some publishing thing that caused a mishap. But I like picture the problems I kind of had with the Mistborn trilogy, and up till this series, he's just so much a better writer. You can literally see the improvement, that he literally turned the conflict into being war itself. It's not any one species. Even the Delvers we get a closer look at them, so it's just hard, and each side has their own specific reasons and morals for doing what they're doing. And ever since I've watched Black Panther, I've always loved looking for villains that are like, you can easily see how justified their actions are. I love seeing that trope in a villain. It's all so justified, and I'm like, well, then how do you argue this? Because it makes me actively think really hard and try and analyze the factors that all go into that character. and species as a whole. And so I'm just, oh, it was so good. It was so good. And again, I'm just impressed with the science fiction that I happen to pick up that I love so much to the extent that I do, with the exception being this one random book that I'm never going to talk about on this channel because it's just not worth mentioning in my opinion. But every other science fiction book that I have ever picked up, I have loved, even if maybe some other people have not loved that series as much as I have. I mean, it's my opinion is my opinion, I suppose, but I just get so lucky with the science fiction books, and I have a fear that someday that it's going to end and I'm not going to get so lucky, and then it's going to kind of scar me away from the genre, even though I'm really enjoying almost every single book I pick up in the science fiction genre. So yeah, those are my last minute thoughts on Starsight. I finished the audiobook like halfway into my shift, so then I also started a reread of Little Women. I figured it was time since I watched the new movie that came out this year, and I was just inspired to, give Little Women another chance because I was so young when I read it. I don't think I had the proper appreciation of that classic as a whole. So I'm listening to it on Audible, and I'm really enjoying the full cast thing. The performance has been so good. Like they've really thought out how they're going to perform this so well. I'm only in a few hours into it, but I'm just like, oh man, every character has their own voice actress, or at least the main characters do, and they literally have sound effects for what's going on. Like if they talk about an oven going, or not an oven, like a fire crackling, if that's mentioned in detail, they'll have sounds going on in the background that would match that description, and it's just so interesting. I've never heard an audiobook go quite to that extent, and this specific rendition of this story is an Audible original, and it came out not that long ago. So I figured now that Audible has become so popular as it is, people are putting a heck of a lot more effort into making audiobooks in general, which is nice because most of my reading now is getting done via audiobook. And so I really enjoy that they're making it so it's much more immersive experience. So that is all. I am going to head home now and battle traffic. I will check in with you guys once I am done. Oh, and another thing. Before I started my shift, I had a few hours after waking up for the day. So I just finished all of Ouran High School Host Club Volume 1, which I did enjoy, mostly because I know basically everything that was going to happen, but I pointed out some funny line changes that they had done differently in the anime, and where was my obnoxious? Why did they make it annoying? Annoying is not nearly as gut-wrenching as calling Tamaki obnoxious. That was such a good scene in the anime, and it was obviously changed from how they did it in the manga, which was a little disappointing. So it didn't have the same bravada as the anime, I guess. And I found the art style renditions of the characters' faces to be different from scene to scene sometimes, which I guess probably does happen a lot in manga because, you're drawing out the characters. They're not going to be exactly the same every single time. You can make an animated look every time and just edit a few facial features to make the expressions differ. But I was just it didn't give me the same feels as the anime. Unfortunately, I wish it did, but it just didn't. But I still really enjoyed it. I think I gave it, 4 stars on Goodreads? And Starsight obviously got 5 stars. I don't know if I'm going to continue well, I'll read the second volume probably, but I don't know if I will buy the rest of the volumes for myself, or if I'm going to continue if the second volume gets better and hooks me and makes me really, really want to read it like the fairy tale manga always has been. But we'll see if I really love the second volume a lot more than I enjoyed the first one. We'll see how that goes, whether I want to continue or not. I have a feeling if I need another fluffy read to kind of weave in between all the heavy fantasy I've been reading, I might pick up the second volume. So that's all I have for this check-in. I will see you all later. Hello everyone, it's the Bookatarian here checking in. It's Saturday, 2 in the afternoon, and I thought I'd let you know what I've completed so far in the week. And this might be my wrap-up for the week, because I'm just really tired and feel like I'll be spending most of Sunday just relaxing and sleeping and probably editing this vlog. But I finished, I think I've already talked about this before, but I finished Ouran High School Host Club Volume 1. I am 20% into The Shadow Throne, Book 3 of the Ascendance series. I started and finished Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. What other books have I read? Oh, and I am that much into, or finished, close to finishing, Of Fire and Stars by Audrey Coulthurst. I might be able to finish it today, or at least by the time I wrap this video up for good. Coming Monday, probably I will likely be able to have finished it by then. So it's looking to be a pretty good reading week for me. I've already finished my 2-book-a-week goal, so that's good in my opinion. But if I can make my way to 4 books a week, I'll be pretty happy with that. So yeah, that's about all I have to update you on right now. It's a beautiful day, just reading outside. So I will check back in tomorrow, and hopefully I'll have finished Of Fire and Stars by then, and maybe even Shadow Throne. Maybe. We'll see. One or the other is going to be finished by the end of this vlog, I'm thinking. So until then, I'll see you guys later. Bye. Okay, so quick update. It's Sunday morning at like 8:40 in the AM hours. I just got done with work, and I also finished The Shadow Throne on audiobook whilst I was working, which that was very interesting in making my way through like 60% at least of the entire book in one day. I didn't think I was going to be able to finish it in time with my shift, and I did. And I'm realizing how very sunburned my face looks right now. That's not good. My face is very red because I took a walk yesterday in the sunlight and I didn't have anything on, no hat, no sunscreen, and this is the ad result. I'm gonna go put some aloe vera on when I get home. But yeah, so I finished The Shadow Throne. I have about 60-ish to 70 pages left of Fire and Stars, so I might finish that today. I'm hoping I can finish that today, and then I'll have my reading week up to 4 books, which is, like I said before, very impressive for me and my normal reading speeds. And I'll finally finish reading a physical book because of all the mangas and graphic novels and audiobooks that I've been reading lately. So, yep, that's all I pretty much have to say. I'll check in at probably tomorrow, Monday, to give you a final update of everything I've read this week. So I will see you all later. So this is the final check-in for this week. It's Monday morning at 8 a.m. Bright, shining, and early. Not really for me though. But I finished both A Fire and Stars and The Shadow Throne. I was much pleased with The Shadow Throne. Much more pleased with that book than A Fire and Stars. To be honest, I actually had to like skim read a lot for like the last 50 pages because I was just so uninterested in the plot. For like the last half, I was like, oh yeah, I basically knew the entirety of the last half of the book, how it would work out. So I was just getting really bored. So I just kind of like skimmed and only read the dialogue and some basic descriptions of the last like 50 or so pages of the book, as I just said. But yeah, that's probably the first time that's ever happened to me whilst reading a book. I usually never skim read, but I was just so ready to be done. So I finished those two books as I thought I would before the end of this week. So I read those two books, The Shadow Throne, I gave, I think, 4 stars. And A Fire and Stars I gave like 3.5 because I still really enjoyed the romance and the characters, despite the fact that they are so similar to a lot of other characters that have been invented in fictional stories in every kind of media ever. So that was a little bit of a letdown for me. I was really looking forward to that book, but I'll live. And I also, as I mentioned earlier in this vlog, finished the first volume of Ouran High School Host Club. And I think, was there another one? I don't remember, but if I finished another book earlier in this week, I'll probably have already mentioned it. So yep, that's the end of this reading vlog. I started 2 books earlier today, but I'll include those in the next reading vlog. So until then, I will see you later. Bye!